All right. Tell the Truth Sports Radio. I'm your host, Ron Fitch. I'm going to break all the playoffs down. We're going to go through all the games. You're going to see all the pictures I'm going to show of all the great players of this game as I narrate through the playoff sequence. All right. The Nets and the Celtics. That's what I want to start with. The Celtics ended up defeating the Nets in a really good game. The Nets were leading most of the way to the third quarter. And then the Boston Celtics just shows you that they were just a little tougher than the Nets. And they went on it was a 6-point game. And this is where I was like, the Nets better hold on to this lead. Is the fourth quarter. And I was like, they better hold on to this lead. And the Celtics went on a 19-4 run and ended up winning 114-107. The 19-4 run in the middle of the fourth quarter where Pritchard and Jaylen Brown were taking turns, hitting big shot after big shot. Jaylen Brown up with 22 points. Tatum was fantastic, 10 rebounds and 6 assists. He was solid. Kyrie didn't play as well. Durant had 27 points, but he's 4-17 from the field. He's minus 11. Kyrie did not play well. He had 10 points. Brown was their second lead scorer. That is a bad sign. But they had the lead, but Boston was a little too tough for the Nets. And it's not just about X's and O's. It's about how tough you are in the most extreme pressurized situations. And the Nets came up just a little bit short. And this series was blown. The Nets are not going to win this series. Boston's going to win this series. Now, will they win it in 4, 5, 6, or 7? Remains to be seen. Now, even the Nets win the 2 at home, they're not winning game 5, and they're not going to win game 7. Even if they win 3 games at home, which is possible, they're not going to win game 7. The only way they'll win this series is if Simmons, who's there rushing back, by the way, can really play make in the fourth quarter. The Nets are not a good fourth quarter team. And that's the problem. And the Celtics have been. That's why they've won since January. They've been on this tear. And Boston is going to move on. And they're playing really well. I like them as a team. They're playing a lot better than the Nets. And I want to give love to the Boston, of course. But Kyrie Irving should not have gotten into it with the crowd. I understand the heckling and everything. I don't know if it affected his game, but he wasn't his usual good self. And the Nets blew game 1 because Kyrie was fantastic. KD was good. They had the lead. They couldn't rebound. They rebounded better today, but it's too late now. It's too late. All those important backboards and loose balls they never got in game 1. They could have stole game 1, and it didn't matter about game 2 because they would go home with a chance to really get a hold of this series. And now they're going to be desperate. I suspect they'll win game 3, but Boston's crowd just intimidated the Nets. That 19-4 run in the fourth quarter, that was defense by Boston and intimidation. And once they got the lead, the Nets didn't have a prayer of winning. Not a prayer of winning the game. And Boston wins. And it depends on how the Nets respond now to see if this, like I said, is going to be a 5, 6, or 7 game series. But Boston will win regardless. So I got Boston moving on. And I don't know who they're going to play because right now the Bulls are on their way to defeat the Bucks. And I'm going to tell you why the Bulls are defeating the Bucks. The Bulls wanted more. The Bulls hustled, and Caruso just played like a champion. I understand you talk about the foolishness about that was a bubble championship, but that was a championship. And the guys who played like champions. And because he won that championship, it gives him that championship medal that the Bulls needed. He made every point and assist that was important in this game. I mean, he had 9 points. He was plus 17. That's all you need to know about Caruso. With 10 assists, he made us. It was a sequence where they could have cut it, the lead to 5. He makes a key defense on Holiday, and he's all over Holiday and Middleton. And then he gives a great assist to Vujicic, who had 24 points, who has 4 3-point shots. Every one of them was crucial. DeRozan had 41 points, and he got, when the Bucks made this, it was a 16-point lead by the Bulls, and in a twinkling of an eye, it got down to about 4. And DeRozan took over from the mid-third quarter through into the beginning of the fourth quarter. He just hit bucket after bucket in Giannis's face, in Middleton's face, in Holiday's face, mid-range shot after mid-range shot, just pure. And then now he's a decoy. What he did, now he treated himself like a decoy because now the doubles coming. He was giving it to Vujicic, who made big shots. And they ended up defeating the Bucks. They did a good job defensively. Middleton got hurt. Not good. I've been telling you all year long, I don't like the Bucks. I don't like this team. I understand when they were playing well, they said, oh, they'll be back. They should win this series. Not sure. You know, you got a money player in the fourth quarter, and DeRozan. DeRozan gets you fourth quarter buckets. So you know you got automatic fourth quarter buckets and assist. It's not just buckets. It's the fact he draws double teams, and he gives it out to guys like Vujicic that are nailish and Levine that are nail shots. And you got Caruso, who absolutely can defend the heck out of the basketball. He can defend Holiday. Holiday's terrorized guys in the playoffs, and he can defend Middleton. And something else I don't like about the Bucks, you replace PJ Tucker with Grayson Allen. You have got to be kidding me. Grayson Allen's going to give you nothing in the playoffs. I have no use for Grayson Allen. Love Connaughton, but they're not as deep as they were last year. And PJ Tucker gave you toughness. PJ Tucker would guard DeRozan, guard him tough. DeRozan still might get some buckets, and he would defend you. That's why Miami's so tough. This is why Miami's up 2-0 on Atlanta. And I don't think that series is over. I think Atlanta gets a game or 2 games. They're going to push the Heat. I believe it's going to be the Heat. Definitely the Sixers. They won today, 104-101. And Embiid. Now, the game went to overtime, but my guy, Precious Achiuwa, who I know from the New Jersey days, I know he's a Newark kid. Because of the injuries, he's inserted a game. He's got to hit free throws at the end of the game where Toronto could win. Poor guy. Come on now. He's a rookie that hasn't played as much, and you're putting him in a game. There wasn't a prayer. He didn't have a prayer making any of those free throws. So it goes to overtime. When it goes to overtime, I usually favor the team that's 3 to 4 times better than its opponent, which is the Sixers. But the Toronto fought hard, and then Embiid catches and shoots a 3-point shot that wins the game. And Embiid probably thought about that, how they lost to Toronto, and Kawhi Leonard hits that shot, it rolls in, rolls out, and goes back in. And he's like, I'm finishing these dudes. I'm removing that memory of that loss while I was crying because we lost, and they're going to finish Toronto in 4 or 5. And they're going to end up playing Miami. I think they could beat the Heat. If Harden gives me a little more, you're not going to get the Houston Harden, but Harden could give me 10 to 15 assists in the big moments. And Maxey and the others are going to be fine because Embiid's going to be terrific. And what happens is nobody knows how to guard the post anymore because there's not a lot of post players. He's a monster in the post. He can shoot the 3. He can shoot the bank shot. He's a terrific passer out of the post. And now the Sixers have a poor man's version of Hakeem on their team. And now they got a chance. They got a puncher's chance to get to the finals, which they're probably but I don't trust Milwaukee. I'm putting Boston already in the conference finals right now. I got Boston already. I'm reserving their ticket I got them beating the Nets. That series is over. Today's the day I preached the funeral of the Nets, which is unfortunate because I was pulling for them. But I don't think the Nets are tough enough to walk into Boston and win a game, regardless of what they do at home. Whatever they do at home, okay, they could push Boston to either 5 or 7. That's the best I could do for the Nets. I can't give them KD and Kyrie. That's fine. How effective is Kyrie going to be if he's got rabbit ears? He can't have rabbit ears. You know, I've defended Kyrie, but I can't defend that going back at the crowd like that because, yeah, even if they deserve it, I don't care what was said. Get a security guard, do something. Don't show the crowd you affected them. And tonight was bad. But I got Boston in the conference finals already. I believe they're going to beat the Bucks or the Bulls. The Bulls have Lonzo Ball. I might pick the Bulls to beat Boston. The Bulls they're a nice team. They could beat the Bucks. Man, the Bucks are not deep enough. There's just something missing. I don't know if it's a PJ Tucker factor. How healthy will Middleton be? Leaves the game. And the Bulls really defended it. They really scouted the Bucks well. And there were a lot of Chicago Bulls fans at the Bucks game. So I don't even know if they even have the home field advantage. But Boston is going to be really tough at home. I could see, especially when the fourth quarter comes and that crowd gets going. You're gonna be up. Like I saw Miami beat Boston in Boston barely, but their defense is ridiculously good. You go ask Trae Young. Miami, I'm almost leaning toward Boston and Philadelphia, but because Miami's got some pressure on them. Now that they know the Sixers are going to close out Toronto, they got to go to Atlanta, and Atlanta's been unbeatable at home. They can't let that go. They can't let them Miami. They need to get one of these games in Atlanta and close out the Hawks. So they're rested evenly with the Sixers. Because now Sixers can rest and relax now. Everybody, Harden can get his mind right. But I expect, like I said, I got Boston already into the conference finals. I don't trust the Bucks. And the Bulls are one. I love DeRozan, but Tatum and Brown could cancel that if the Bulls really upset the Bucks, which is possible. But I still kind of lean toward the Bucks to win in 7. This is going to be a long series. Long series. When I come back, I'm going to talk about the Western Conference. All right, now the Western Conference. I want to talk about the Suns and Pelicans because Golden State just tore through Denver. They are clicking on all cylinders like a well-oiled machine. Denver's hurting, and they're a little bit of a mess. We'll see how they respond in Denver. But I want to talk about the Grizzlies and Pelicans, and the Pelicans won 125-114 the other day. That was a product of game 1 and their comeback in the second half, how they were getting destroyed in the first half. They came back in the second half, and Chris Paul's heroic save Phoenix from New Orleans coming back, but that gave them confidence. And Willie Green has done a great job as a coach for the Pelicans. And what happened yesterday, Booker had 31 points in the first half, was lighting them up. It was a close game, but it looked like Booker was going to get them home and give Paul a breather and allow, even though the New Orleans was hard charging, allow the Suns to kind of get game 2 and go up 2-0. But once he went down, Brandon Ingram took over, 37 points. CJ McCollum coming off that screen, just shooting beautiful jumpers. Jones, I tell you something, Hubert Jones is a great defensive player. Whew, man, he is a great defensive player, man. And then you have Alvarado hitting big threes. They hit big shot after big shot, and Phoenix, they were efficient. They're usually efficient self. You went out Booker, Johnson scored, Paul would hit a shot, Aiden would hit a shot. Everybody kind of contributed. Bridges was good. But what New Orleans did well, they ran the fast break. They ran off make shots. because when they were a lot of times running the half court offense, they just turned the ball over. They had 17 turnovers. So Coach Green was just like, we're going to run. Just forget about what we're going to do. We're going to run. Hayes was leading the fast break. They would push the ball up. Brandon Ingram hit big shot to big shot. And there was one time, this was how crafty a great scorer that Ingram's become. He had Chris Paul on. Chris Paul is the best, one of the best guys to steal in the basketball in all of basketball history. Jason Kidd is the other guy. Especially if you're dribbling, you're a bigger guy, you try to dribble on them, they usually can get the best of you and steal the ball from you. So Chris Paul gets caught on a switch with Ingram. Ingram, which is really because how long he is, uses his left hand, the offhand, to shield Chris Paul away. But that doesn't affect Chris Paul as much because Chris Paul he'll wait for you to elevate and he steals the ball. But he shielded him and then he kept the ball high and he played Chris Paul out. Chris Paul kind of had to foul him and he made the basket. It was beautiful to watch. And able to get game 2. Now, this is a problem. Booker's left hamstring is bothering him. His right hamstring was a problem all year. Now, what do you do? He has to be healthy. Now, if he's not healthy in New Orleans, that's problematic. Now, if you tell me he's healthy for the series, Phoenix will get out of the series. It's going to be a long one, though. New Orleans is playing with a lot of they are coming fast. Where did these guys come from? Man, CJ McCullough and then Nance Jr. and Trey Murphy, and Graham. But Trey Murphy really, really, really is coming on strong, hitting shots. Trey Murphy and Hayes and Jones give you length and defense along with Ingram. And they played smart because, Phoenix is a smart half-court basketball team. But New Orleans matched their IQ in the fourth quarter with the way they set their stars up to make buckets. It was a thing of beauty. And then moving on, it's going to be, without Devin Booker, it's going to be hard. That place in New Orleans is rocking. Could you imagine if Zion Williams said, I know he does want to play. I don't know if he's going to play for the playoffs. Could you imagine when he's on the team? They got a nice future. Like Memphis and Minnesota, who I'm about to talk about in a minute, they got great futures. So does the Pelicans now. When you make the playoffs and you make a run, say for instance they take the Sun 7, they got a lot of confidence going into next year. And the Grizzlies, I figured this was going to happen. They destroyed Minnesota in game 2. They were desperate. Ja Morant had 23 points, but he was plus 24 because he had 9 rebounds and 10 assists. He was a lot more efficient. Whether he gets 23 or 33 points, it's his efficiency as a point guard that's going to be key. And they switched. They put Jackson on. They took Adams off Towns. Their defense is a lot better. Bain and Brooks. Everybody else, Clark was good. Till everybody, Zaire Williams had 13. Everybody's a lot better because they were home and they whooped up on Minnesota. This is these young guns are trash talking, going after each other. The fathers of my man, Carl Towns Sr., who I know for about 10 years, going out with it with Ja Morant's father, which is kind of fun to watch. A lot of fun, man. This is the series. Like a couple of years ago, it was Portland and OKC with Dame and Westbrook going at it. And there's that first round series you couldn't wait to see. This is the one. And man, they're going to Minnesota. And D'Angelo Russell hasn't played good. He's going to play good. People are like, well, now Memphis is right now. They'll walk right through Minnesota. No, they won't. Minnesota's not going anywhere. Either they'll split or Minnesota will take 2, and then the Grizzlies will get the next 2. Somehow, some way, this will be a 7-game series. However it gets there, okay? These teams are close to evenly matched. Grizzlies have a little more experience, so I'm banking on that to get them They need to get game 3. They don't get game 3, they're probably not going to get game 4 because Minnesota, they play really tough at home, and they fly all over the court at home, and the role players play better. They hit their shots just the way that Memphis's role players play better yesterday. I expect Minnesota, because they're home, the Torian Princes and the Reeds and the Beasleys and the McLaughlins and the McDaniels, these 2 teams are deep, are going to outplay Clark, Zaire Williams, and Tyus Jones and Melton. But I trust Ja Morant to be efficient enough to get a game in Minnesota. And then they'll take care of business in Memphis, and this will get to 7. I just somehow, some way, I'm banking on this series. It is going to be 7 exciting games. Even the blowouts are going to be exciting in this series. That's what I love about that. Like I said, I think Golden State. Now, Denver's going to they're going to have a chip on the shoulder because Golden State didn't just beat them. They ran them to score. They were dancing and prancing. Denver's going to have some pride because they're veteran players, but Golden State will get them, I believe, in 5. Denver will get a game, and they'll be waiting for Memphis. If you give me Golden State, the winner of Memphis, Minnesota, I don't care who it is, that's a great series. If Luka comes back, as far as Dallas and Utah, shabby to me. They 41 points by Brunson when they tied this year. Utah had a chance to really get Dallas out. Now you left the door open. I think Dallas gets a game in Utah, and they win in 7. That's going 7-2. If Luka plays, I'm putting that disclaimer out there. If he plays, they're gonna win the series. I think Utah blew it. At the end of it, if they don't get out of the first round, you're going to start to hear whispers about Donovan Mitchell wanting to leave. But if you get me the winner of Phoenix and New Orleans versus Dallas, and Golden State versus the winner of Minnesota and the Grizzlies, I don't care who it is. They're both exciting teams. That's good for the NBA. That's why this is a good playoffs. The ratings are up from, I think, 30 million last year, now in the first round of 41 million viewers. So this is an exciting time for the NBA. Before I leave the show, Jay Wright did retire from Villanova. Oh, man, I hate to hear that. I love him as a coach. 2 national championships, one of the greatest college basketball coaches in the history of the sport. I just wanted to pay tribute to him.